Should I pause this recording? I think
Radhe Radhe, yeah, you can if you want.
I think so. Yeah, maybe when it starts at 7. Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, but don't forget to restart that.
Otherwise, it's okay. Yeah, yeah, that can happen. Yeah, so maybe.
Yeah. Is Sandhya ji will be joining today?
Not sure. Yeah, because I think both of them, like Sandhya and all of them, are going to Vrindavan. Yeah, so I'm not sure. Yeah.
Oh, in India?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So will you be host? Are
Yes.
you will be hosting? Okay. So can you do me a favor?
Mhm.
When the session will end, means around 8:50, can you make Sunil ji co-host?
Yeah, I can make that. Yeah, yeah, I can make him.
Yeah, and remember to end this recording and restart for the next
Yes.
session.
Yeah, that is what I did last week. Yeah, so yeah.
Okay, so that will be a big help. Otherwise, I need to join
Oh no,
again.
no, no. I can do. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you
Last time
so much.
actually I didn't knew who was that, so I think I
Last time,
decided
I think, no, I was not there. I think maybe Kriti ji has opened the bridge because Amritvani was here till I have started doing again from the Saturday.
oh,
So Friday,
okay.
definitely I was not there. So if you can do that, then it will save my time and it will be great help.
Yeah, I think that is super easy. Yeah, to make. Yeah, last time I did that. Yeah, so it should be easy. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So Sunil ji and Ajay bhai.
Yeah.
So Sunil ji will be
Actually, I
host.
made Ajay ji the host. Yeah, so then Sunil ji was asking where is my hosting, right? So I should
Yeah,
make
yeah.
Sunil
So
ji.
Sunil ji will be host and Ajay ji will be co-hosting.
Okay, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's wonderful. I will make you host, then you can make Nitin ji whenever he joins. So
Yeah.
I can leave the meeting.
Okay, no problem. And I am not sure who will be admitting people. I can do also, but yeah, maybe we have to
Yeah,
think.
let me
Maybe
check
Sandhya
whose
ji.
name was suggested. Let me check.
So there is nothing on that this group, but hopefully, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, let me check what. I think your name I've seen.
and Sandhya ji usually, but they
Yeah,
are on
for
the trip to
Friday,
Vrindavan.
Rahul ji.
Yeah.
Yeah, Friday it's your name only. So will you be able to do all that?
I think so. Yeah, I can ask maybe Nitin ji also to help a little bit. Yeah, but yeah, or maybe I can ask Shyam ji or somebody. Yeah, who
Yeah,
joins.
you can make Shyamji co-host, so he can help you in admitting people.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because both Sandhya and Shefali are not there, so I'm not sure who else. Yeah, maybe Shyam ji can help. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm making you host,
Yeah.
and please do for the next session transition. So,
Yeah. No problem.
so I will be done then with my duty.
As long as my internet and everything stays okay. Otherwise, I'll message on that group if something goes wrong. But
Oh, okay.
hopefully everything should be okay. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. So you are in India?
No. I'm here in Vancouver, actually, Canada. But
Oh, okay.
Sandhya, Shefali, and all the some other participants, I
Mm-hmm.
think Pragya ji from our
Acha.
class, they are
Uh-huh.
in India and they are now going to Vrindavan. Yeah. So that is what I
Oh,
got.
okay. Okay.
Where are you located?
I'm in Dallas.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm making you host.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Earlier, actually, I used to do all this when these classes started
Mhm.
that time, but now there are so many classes and so many bridges. So right now, because Amrit Vaniji is in India, so that's why I'm doing this. So many things. So it will be really help. Friday evening
Mhm.
at 9:45 again joining. That will be little
Yeah.
difficult for me.
Correct. Yeah.
But
No,
if you,
I can do that.
yeah,
One question I had,
yeah,
like I
yes.
was trying to check, even if somebody is a host or co-host, how can we put like polls? Because this is what I was checking with Nitin ji, that if we ask some questions or something, it is
Mm-hmm.
always good to have that poll, yes, no, maybe, and then people put that and then you have the results. Yeah, rather than trying to ask them, okay, raise hands and all that. That is what I was thinking. Yeah, can be helpful. Yeah. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, actually, here's I can see here whiteboards. Is it something different? What is this?
Not sure,
Wha-
but actually the poll, yeah, if you can see the polls, we are not admitting anybody unless Nitin ji joins. Usually that is what
Yeah.
Amrit ji used
Mm-hmm.
to do. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to ask him actually.
Okay,
I'm not
okay.
good at this.
I can. Yeah. No problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was not able to edit the questions. Yeah, that is what I was
Mhm.
thinking. Yeah, why not to make some questions and then put it here? Yeah, so yeah,
Mhm.
it's okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, I
I
hope you
really
have a very
appreciate
good.
your help.
Yeah, I hope you have a great night. Yeah, because it
Yeah,
is already
thank you. Thank you.
almost
You
7.
have a
Yeah.
nice long weekend.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. So if anything wrong, you just post in that group and I will join again.
Yes. Yeah, I will put that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, bye bye.
Yeah. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe. Nitin ji, JK Yog CIC. I think you are muted.
Yes, yes. Give me a sec. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I might need to check with Shyamji because if both the Sakhis are on the Vrindavan trip, that might be difficult to admit. I can do that, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, they are on the way. I got a picture. But
Yeah,
Shamji is also traveling, I guess, with them.
I didn't see them because Pragya Didi and then there were two people on the front seat. I don't know, and then the Sakhis on the back. Yeah, that is what
Yeah,
I could recognize.
I saw that picture. So Shamji, I don't know where he is. Maybe another one. But you can co-host, right? In case
Yeah, I will do that. Yeah, both ways, no problem.
you have the co-host this the bridge user ID and password, right?
No, I don't have
You
that.
have it?
But
Okay.
then I think who was the person? Preeti ji, no, Kriti ji. She opened that bridge, and then she told me that you can transition to the next class. So we should be good, yeah, as long as yeah.
Okay, good. No, I was thinking if you had it, maybe you can help me create some surveys. We can put
Yeah,
some.
that is what I was thinking. How to put the polls here because there are some questions, but I can't edit it.
Yes, those we have to create a new poll. I think it needs an admin access. So
I think we need that, yeah, because otherwise it will be super easy. Like the fundraiser class which we had, the information session, you could see yes, no people.
yeah,
What
we
they showed it.
yeah we can do polls. It just takes a bit of a time. So if you have questions, you can create polls. Earlier, I used to. I'm not sure when you joined. I used to have Kahoot quizzes every Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
But then the participation used to be for those enthusiasts, quiz enthusiasts only. Okay. It would drop. And then youngsters used to play more than anybody else. And then I used to do recap and quiz. Really, all that we have covered, I would ask questions. Used to be very good, like competitive, but participation used to be limited. And then I stopped doing quizzes. In fact, I used to do Kahoot every week.
Let's admit people. I think it is already 6.
Sure. Let's admit people. Are there people already? Okay. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. Radhe Radhe, Shamji, I thought you are in a car to Vrindavan, you're not. You can
I'm
make.
planning for last 2 months, Nitin bhai, but
Okay, no worries.
can't realize it. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, how are you doing?
All well, also good. How are you all?
Good. You're doing.
All well, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. We have 1 more minute, then we'll get started.
Have you been to the Have you gone to Monkey Bihari?
No, I don't have the enough punya credit as yet. Once I'll have it, then I'll get a chance. So maybe sometime soon.
So not ever till now.
I've not traveled much. In fact, I live in Himachal and I've never been to Kullu Manali. People don't believe it, but that's how it is.
I do believe that. It's okay. Same here. I went only last year to Kullu Manali, staying in Delhi. First I went.
But Kullu Manali, Himachal, my hometown, it's pretty close by. Right?
I know it's close by to you. We came back via Palampur and we stayed there for a while
Okay.
coming to Delhi.
Yeah. So, but I have not been. But now I'll start traveling. I have a
How long will you in US now?
yes. Now it's been 10 years, more than 10 years, I would say.
Pretty long time, yeah.
10, 12 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. There you go, Sandhya. These guys are in. So you need to invert your picture. Yeah, I know you guys are traveling, which is nice. See, they are joining on the way, which is pretty amazing. Okay. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. I can see a group of travelers too. Good to see you all together. So let's get started with our today's session. We will be discussing how to see problems in perspective. We'll do a bit of a theory, time permitting. We will watch a video as well, and go through this as much as we can cover during the session. So let's start with our opening prayers. I'm going to share my screen and then we'll get started. All right, host has to enable screen sharing for me. Who's the host? Do I need to call Kriti or somebody? Okay, I'm the host. Now I can share screen. Great, I can share it now. All right, so let me share my screen and get started. Are you able to see my screen? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Yes, we can. We can, Anil bhai.
All right, great. Okay.
I'm the co-host, I guess.
All right.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Okay, so let's get started. I'll do my opening prayers and then we'll get underway. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum. All right, good morning, good evening again, everyone. It's Friday. It's Saturday in India, I know. So TGIF, Tattva Gyan is fantastic, is what we are going to revise today. And today I picked up a topic that we all can resonate with. Problems. How do we see problems in perspective? It's a pretty deep topic. It can go on for a month, but we will do it in one session as best as we possibly can. Just go through some of the theory, philosophy around it and try to make sense out of it and see what we can learn through that. And time permitting, we will do a bit of a discussion and watch a video as well. Very motivational video I picked up. I'm sure you're going to like it as well. So, all right. I can see the travelers as well. So good. By the way, we have our 3 Bhagavad Gita participants all together traveling to Vrindavan. So, which is pretty amazing. So, good to see you all together. Let's get started. So how can we see our problems in perspective is what we will try to do a little bit of discussion on today and hopefully draw some inspiration and get some tools around that as well is what we are going to hope to accomplish in today's session. We have a hard stop at 10 today, so we'll try to cover as best as we can. So for this, to set the base, because it's a Bhagavad Gita session, I have picked up 6.6, although we are on 4.17, we will transition to 4.18, but I picked up this shloka, which talks about the mind, and the mind is the one that we need to befriend in order to be able to tackle the problems that we face in life. So that is the context for today's discussion. So I'm going to recite the shloka. We'll pick up a few participants and then we'll get into the discussion. Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaivat. All right. Do we have anybody who wants to? All right, we can take maybe 2 or 3 hands and then get started. You'll have to unmute yourself. I can't hear you.
Can't see. Hear me, bhai? I can see Ashutosh ji.
Yeah.
Ashutosh ji, Radhe Radhe.
All right, we can take maybe 3 today and then we'll get started.
Ashutosh ji.
Radhe Radhe Ashutosh ji.
I
Radhe.
unmute.
बन्धुरात्मानमनस्तस्य येनात्मैवात्मना जितः अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेतात्मैव शत्रुवत्.
Wonderful, very nice, Ashutosh ji. We can take 2 more.
Sundari ji, Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे
Radhe Radhe.
बन्धुरात्मात्मनस्तस्य येनात्मैवात्मना जितः अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेतात्मैव शत्रुवत्. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe, very nice. Thank you very much. All right, maybe 2 more. Real quick.
Akshita ji, Radhe Radhe.
Akshita ji, Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे बन्धुरात्मानस्तस्य येनस्मै तत्त्वना जितः अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे
All right, thank you, Akshita ji. All right, we'll take maybe a couple more hands and then we'll get started. 2 more hands.
Radhe Radhe. Lakshmi ji.
Lakshmi ji and Sam ji, and then we'll get started.
Lakshmi ji. I can't unmute her. Okay. Sam ji. Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे बन्धुरात्मा आत्मनस्तस्य येन आत्मैव आत्मना जितः अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेत आत्मैव शत्रुवत्. राधे
Wonderful.
राधे.
Very nice, Sam ji. Radhe Radhe. Okay, even I can't unmute Lakshmi ji. Some problem. Okay, so this shloka says that for those, so in fact, in Panchadashi Vedvyas has written, Manev Manushyanam Karanam Bandha Mokshayo. So mind is the one which actually is a result of liberation and bondage. And those who have conquered the mind, it is their friend. Those who have failed to do so, the mind works like an enemy. So it's a training of the mind is what spirituality is all about. Training of the mind and the Antakaran Shuddhi, basically. Right? If you train the mind, Antakaran Shuddhi would start happening as well. And that is where we are going to look at how do we tell our mind. We have to dissociate ourselves from our mind, right? Today morning I was hearing to Swamiji, we think our thoughts are us. That is not the case, right? Our mind generates about 60,000 thoughts in a day. And some of those thoughts don't even align to our value system. And then we are like, oh, I thought that. So we don't have to write that. Yes, that's fine. We can get those thoughts because the quality and the quantity of thought is something which is beyond the scope of our soul. It just generates it. Now, if you have worked on our mind, of course, we can influence the quality of our thoughts. However, the thoughts will come. However, whether to energize those thoughts further or not is our choice. And that is where, if we don't try to learn the art of seeing things around us, including the problems that come in our lives from time to time, we are energizing the negative thoughts. right? Sometimes some thoughts just happen all by themselves. Sometimes we choose to think in a certain way. And that is the one we are going to tackle today. What comes in your mind, those thoughts will come. Okay, your thoughts will surprise you as well. But we have to dissociate it, because you can observe your thoughts. That means you are different from your thoughts. So today we are going to look at how do we look at problems in life. So let's get into that topic today. Now, in this picture, let's have a quick discussion. What is the difference here between the diamond and the coal? Anybody who wants to take that quickly? Is there any difference at all? We have chemistry students here, biochemistry students here as well.
Rahulji raised his hand, so let's ask Rahulji. Rahulji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji. First of all, Nitinji, can you make me the co-host? Because
Okay.
Ram is unable to do that.
It will be my extreme pleasure to make you the co-host. And I have done that. Yes, Rahul, go ahead.
I think if you see, the intrinsic properties are similar, but when coal is under that extreme pressure and heat, then it becomes diamond. And that is what we have to do also. All the difficulty to whatever are being provided, the only ultimate goal is to purify our mind.
True, very true. The intrinsic properties, it's made up of carbon, right? In chemistry, they call it. It's nothing but carbon. However, a diamond is a coal which has withstood extreme pressure for a sustained period of time. That is all it is. So when the coal is able to withstand that, it becomes a diamond, and that is the law of this universe as well. Now that doesn't mean we keep on subjecting ourselves to a pressure cooker kind of a pressure. Okay, universe has a plan for us to give us pressure slightly more than the within the capacity limit, of course, but raising the bar a little bit from time to time. And if we are able to sustain that, we are on the path of progression. Let's look at it through another example. So there used to be a boy who would go to school, and on the way he would look at this thing. There was a larva that was kind of popping its head out, and as you can see, while they say larva, pupa, there's a stage for the entire thing, and then it becomes. So basically what happened was, when it was seeing that struggle, it could not see that. And the misplaced compassion that he had, like material compassion we have, it was saying this little thing was really struggling from that cocoon, trying to wiggle its way out of it and going back and forth and all that stuff. And this boy could not bear that. He said, okay, poor thing is suffering. So what it did was, it cut open the cocoon. When it cut open the cocoon, then the entire fluid along with that little thing fell on the floor on its belly, and it lay flat there. Now the thing that needs to be understood here is that if he had let it go through the progression, natural progression, right, that struggle that little thing would have endured would have helped us grow wings, and then it would have helped us become a caterpillar, and then finally grow wings and become a butterfly. So that struggle that was designed. Now, first question, was that struggle beyond the capacity of that little thing? He took mercy on it, he felt pity on it, and released it from that pain. But do we think the way nature is designed, it was beyond the limit of that little thing to become, from larva to pupa, all the way to caterpillar, and then finally the butterfly? Of course not. It was very much well within its limits. We just had to let it unfold, and eventually, in due course of time, it would have grown its wing. Now, if you cut short that misery, the struggle that was designed as part of its organic evolution, did we do it favor? No, we did not do it a favor. In fact, it was the biggest disfavor that was done, because its potential was capped and it was never able to grow its wings. Similarly, when we ask for cutting short our miseries, when we complain about our miseries, it is an opportunity forfeited where we can actually grow our wings. This is how nature is designed. It's only when we go through that trouble, pain, or we endure that, of course, with proper knowledge and perspective, is that when we are able to grow our wings. So this is the way to look at, if you look at this example. Let's look at it further. So if you look at it, if seesaw, there are only two things. Either you will have an upside, which is called success, or you'll have a downside, which you can call it as a failure, or you can call it as a learning. So either there is a success or there is a learning. Now, when you have pain, there are two outcomes to it. Either you complain or you gain. Choice is yours in that case. Now, pain, if you look at it, is actually a catalyst for inner growth. Now, what is a catalyst? Catalyst in chemistry is something which is accelerates or fast tracks something. Right? Like, for example, if it is hot, it is a catalyst for anger, right? It is. You get angry much more quickly in Delhi heat. If you are roaming around in that heat, somebody does something and you're all of a sudden upset because heat is a catalyst for anger. Similarly, when people are high and drunk, it is a catalyst for becoming brave, right? They can pick up fights with people 10 times their size, right? And for some reason they become brave enough to drive even if there's a curfew in the city, right? Those are some of the things that happen. Nevertheless, the catalyst here in this case is pain. Pain is a catalyst for inner growth. If you really think about it, it's only the pain or the reversals that we have seen or endured in our life that actually go on to chisel our personality and define us the way we are today. If we had only success in our life, success is shallow. Failure or has learning and depth. If you really think about it deeply, right? I've spoken about this activity. You can do that yourself as well. Just reflect back on your life and draw some 3 or 4 points where you have really felt the highs and lows of your life. And then if you look at your personality, it would be chiseled by those lows in your life. Those failures that happened will truly define who you are today. And you will say thanks to those failures if you really reflect back on what you have gained or learned out of those. If you had not had those failures, only a cruise control life in success only, then the life would have been very shallow. That is the significance of pain, failure, troubles, obstacles that come our way. If you look at it in a perspective. Now, the other tendency that we have is to overplay it in our mind as well. So it's like, the growth, if you look at it, the example that we have seen is it happens at the end of our comfort zone. It's only when we are willing to exert and willing to get out of our comfort zone is when one can experience growth. If you remain in your comfort zone like this fish, you will always keep on roaming around in that vessel. The growth will not happen. So let's move on. The other aspect of this is it a mountain or a molehill? We have to really think, look at it in a perspective as well. For every small thing, if our world comes crashing down, there is a big problem. So we have to really look at the problem in perspective as well, right? Like they said, I was complaining about my shoes until I saw a man with no feet. So problem has to be seen in perspective as well. So let's look at it through an interesting story. I came across this joke and I thought it is a very appropriate one. So this is a conversation between an Indian and an American friend. You might have come across it, some of you, but I loved it when I saw that. So I thought let's play that joke today. So this guy, Indian, Desi guy, he meets his American friend and he says, I have serious family problems going on. So he said, what kind of family problem are you having? He said that, you know what, my parents, they are forcing me to marry a girl I have never seen. Okay. And it is in India, it is called arranged marriage. and I've never seen that girl. She's a village girl, and I don't know how she'll turn out to be. And we are not allowed to do love marriage, and then my parents are not allowing me to do love marriage. And then I don't know how she'll turn out to be, and I feel I have serious family problems here. So American said, "All right, now let me tell you something." So let's look at what American has to share with him. So he says, I married somebody, I was allowed to do love marriage. So this guy says, I married a widow after dating her for 3 years. And then, interestingly, my father, he fell in love with our stepdaughter. Okay. And when he fell in love with this stepdaughter, things were fine until the relationship turned into, he became his father's son-in-law, and basically his father became his son's son-in-law, and he became his father's father-in-law. Right? The problem doesn't stop here. Also, the stepdaughter became his mother, and his wife became his grandmother. Okay, the problems have still not stopped until they had their own son, and then because he was his father's brother, hence he became his uncle. And problems didn't stop here. His father had a son too. So his father's son, he said, he became my brother and a grandson as well. And finally, if you look at this whole complex matrix of relationship, he says, ultimately, I've become my own grandfather and my own grandson. And you talk about family problems, right? So this is how you see things in perspective. Things can go really, really wrong. And we start worrying about things around us, right? There was a girl who was studying in college, and she wrote a letter to her mom. She said, Mom, just wanted to let you know that I was driving a scooter and I fell down. Okay. No, first she said, no, actually, you know what? I had a bicycle, but then since I was always longing for a scooter, luckily one day I found somebody's key and I stole that scooter. Okay. And while I was driving it back to my college, I fell down and broke my foot. But nothing to worry. There was a very decent guy who came and picked me up and helped me with my broken foot. Right? Took me to a doctor, and as a matter of fact, we fell in love. Okay. And got married too. And before I could tell you that we are expecting our first baby, I thought I'll come home and let you know all of this in one shot. Right? So you can imagine the state of her mother. She was about to faint, and then in the end of the letter, she had written, P.S. I just flunked my maths exam. Just wanted to put things in perspective. If things have to go wrong, how wrong they can go. So sometimes we make a mountain out of a molehill as well. The problems that we see, and get into a habit of manufacturing problems more than they need to be, given importance in our head. So that is another aspect of it. Now let's have a bit of I wanted to show you a video, and then we will have a discussion. It's a very, very beautiful video. I'm sure you're going to appreciate it. Give me a sec before we get into a discussion. Are you able to see that? And I want to show you, it's a very, very motivational video. Let me know if you're able to hear the sound as well.
2011
Are you able to hear it? Okay.
It's fine. It's okay.
So let's hear it from Arunima Sinha. It's a very, very motivational video.
2011 में चलती ट्रेन से मुझे बदमाशों ने एक गोल्ड चेन पहनी थी। चलती ट्रेन से मुझे उठा के बाहर फेंक दिया था। लखनऊ से दिल्ली आ रही थी मैं। दुर्भाग्य ये था कि उसी समय दूसरी ट्रैक से ट्रेन आई और मैं उस ट्रेन में टकराई, फिर नीचे गिरी। दोनों ट्रेनें निकल गईं। कुछ देर बाद मैंने हाथ को ऐसे रख के उठने की कोशिश किया तो देखा कि मेरा पैर कट चुका था। थाई को उठा के देखा मेरा पैर ऐसे जीन्स में लटका हुआ था, ब्लड फोर्सफुली निकल रहा। दूसरे पैर की हड्डियाँ टूट टूट के बाहर निकल चुकी थी। पूरी रात मैं चिल्लाती रही ट्रैक पे, छोटे छोटे पत्थर होते ऐसे चिल्लाती रही कि कोई बचा ले, कोई नहीं आया बचाने। और जब पूरी रात चिल्लाते चिल्लाते इतना कि मुझे दिखाई भी देना बंद हो गया। जब ट्रेन आता था तो वाइब्रेट होता था। इतना ही नहीं, फ्री का इन्विटेशन भी लोगों को मिल गया था, कुछ लोगों को। ट्रैक पे आपने ट्रेन की ट्रैक पे छोटे छोटे चूहे देखे होंगे, मेरे कटे हुए पैर पे आग के मेरे पैर उतर रहे थे। मेरा ब्रेन कॉन्शियस मेरा पूरा काम कर रहा था मेरे, लेकिन बॉडी में कोई भी मूवमेंट नहीं था। पूरे पल में वही चीज़ें सोच कि कैसे मैं अपने आप को कैसे बचा पाऊँ। पूरी रात ऐसे बीता। सुबह गांव वालों ने मुझे बरेली डिस्ट्रिक्ट हॉस्पिटल यूपी में है, वहाँ पे हुआ था ये। सुबह गांव वालों ने मुझे उठाया, डिस्ट्रिक्ट हॉस्पिटल ले जाके रखा। तो फार्मासिस्ट, डॉक्टर, सीएम जितने लोग थे आपस में बातें कर रहे, अरे हमारे पास तो एनेस्थीसिया नहीं है, ब्लड नहीं है, इसका इलाज शुरू करें तो हम कैसे करें। मुझे भी नहीं दिखाई तो नहीं, लेकिन मेरा सुनाई दे रहा था सब कुछ वहाँ पे। कहाँ से हिम्मत आई मुझ में, मुझे भी नहीं पता। मैंने बोला वहाँ पे कि सर जब मेरा पूरा पैर कटा, तब मैंने इतनी देर रेलवे ट्रैक पे थी, मैं उस चीज़ को बर्दाश्त किया, तो अभी तो आप मेरे अच्छे के लिए मेरे पैर काटेंगे। मेरी इस बात को सुनने के बाद वहाँ के डॉक्टर और फार्मासिस्ट दोनों ने एक एक यूनिट ब्लड दिया और मेरे पैर को बिना एनेस्थीसिया अलग कर दिया गया। आज भी मैं उस दर्द को महसूस करती हूँ। जब भी मैं जब बोलती हूँ तब मैं वो चीज़ें महसूस करती हूँ। हॉस्पिटल के बेड पे डिसाइड किया वॉलीबॉल लाइफ का सबसे टफ गेम करना है, तब मैंने माउंटेनिंग चुना। जब मैंने माउंटेनिंग कहने और करने में बहुत फ़र्क होता है। जब मैंने माउंटेनिंग की बात सोची और लोगों के सामने, सबसे बड़ी चीज़ थी सही गाइडेंस में ट्रेनिंग लेना, दूसरा स्पॉन्सरशिप। इतना बड़ा एक साथ तो मैंने 40 से 50 लाख मैंने वाकई में कभी नहीं देखे थे पहले। मेरे लिए बहुत बड़ी चीज़ थी वो इकट्ठा कर पाना। उसके बाद किसी तरीके से मैनेज किया मैंने। भाई साहब, मेरा परिवार मेरा बैकबोन था। परिवार ने मुझे, भाई साहब ने मुझे कहा कि मैडम बछेंद्री पाल जिन्होंने 1984 में एवरेस्ट समिट किया, उनसे मिलते हैं, वो जरूर कुछ ना कुछ करेंगे। हॉस्पिटल से निकलने के बाद मेरे राइट लेग में स्टिचेस लगी थी। मैंने डायरेक्टली घर जाने की बजाय, जब लोग ये सोचते कि मुझे अपना जीवन यापन कैसे करना है, जब लोग ये सोचते हैं कि मुझे अपनी ज़िंदगी के, मेरे दिमाग में सिर्फ 2 चीज़ें चल रही थी, मुझे इनका जवाब कैसे देना है और एवरेस्ट समिट कैसे करना है। फर्स्ट तुरंत गए बछेंद्री मैम के पास। जब मिले, मैम ने फर्स्ट टाइम जब मुझे देखा तो उन्होंने कहा, अरुणिमा, उनकी आंखों में आंसू आ गए। उन्होंने बोला, अरुणिमा, तूने ऐसी हालात में एवरेस्ट जैसे दुरूह पहाड़ के बारे में सोचा तो तूने अपने अंदर तो एवरेस्ट फतह कर लिया, अब तो सिर्फ लोगों के लिए। मेरे परिवार को छोड़ के बाहर की पहली ऐसी महिला थी जिन्होंने मुझ पे भरोसा किया था कि हाँ अरुणिमा, तुम कर सकती हो। मेरे लिए वही बहुत बड़ी चीज़ थी। प्लानिंग भी कर ली, मैम भी मिल गई, सब हो गया, लेकिन जब उतरते हैं फील्ड में तब पता चलता कि हम क्या हैं। रोड हेड से मैं पहुंच गई। मैडम ने कहा कि ठीक है, तुम्हारे कहने, तुम्हारे सोचने से कुछ नहीं होगा अरुणिमा, प्रूफ करो कि कर सकती हो। मैंने कहा बस एक मौका चाहिए मुझे। वाकई में जब मैं माउंटेन में पहुंची, रोड हेड से बेस कैंप लोगों को 2 मिनट लगता था, मुझे 3-3 घंटे लगते थे, क्योंकि मेरे राइट लेग की हड्डियां भी नहीं जुड़ी थी। लेफ्ट मेरा आर्टिफिशियल लग चुका था, लेकिन स्टंप एकदम रेड, उसका मतलब घाव एकदम नए थे। मैं अगर पैर रखती थी तो मेरे पैर से जोर से अगर दबा देती थी तो पैर से मेरे ब्लड आने लगता था। सारे लोग नॉर्मल थे वहाँ पे। हर कोई ये बोलता कि एक पीक के लिए जाते थे तो हर कोई मुझे ये बोलता कि अरुणिमा, तुम धीरे धीरे आओ। मेरे दिमाग में हर बार यही बात चलती थी कि क्या है, मैंने एवरेस्ट का प्लान किया, मैं इनके बराबर भी नहीं चल पा रही हूँ। खुद से संकल्प लिया कि कोई बात नहीं, एक दिन ऐसा आएगा कि मैं इनसे पहले जाऊंगी। और आपको शायद यकीन ना हो, आने वाले 8 महीने बाद पूरा का पूरा वेट उठा के बेस कैंप से साथ निकलते और टॉप पे पहले पहुंचते। ऐसे करके देखते थे कि अरे ये लोग तो पीछे, खुशी होती थी। हमारे ग्रुप में 6 लोग थे। रॉकी एरिया तक मैं सबसे पहले थी, लेकिन जैसे ही मैं ग्रीन और ब्लू आइस में गई, मेरा आर्टिफिशियल लेग स्लिप कर जाता था। फ्रंट पॉइंटिंग से, जब मैं फ्रंट क्रैम्पोन से फ्रंट पॉइंटिंग मारती थी, लेफ्ट से पेन होता था तब भी करते, लेकिन आर्टिफिशियल जैसे फ्रंट पॉइंटिंग मूव हो जाता, मेरा पैर ही मूव हो जाता था। शेरपा मुझे बोला, नहीं हो सकता अरुणिमा, जबरदस्ती मत करो। मैंने कहा कुछ नहीं, ये मेरा पैर है, मैं जानती हूँ कैसे चलेगा। फाइनली 1, 2 बार, 3 बार करने, 4 बार, 5 बार होल हो जाता था। आइस थोड़ा टूट के निकलता था तो मैं वहाँ पैर रख के जाती थी। कैंप 3 तक ठीक था, प्रॉपर एक्लेमेटाइज किया अपने आप। कैंप 3 तक जनरली गए। बात जब कैंप 3 के ऊपर की होती है, साउथ कोल समिट, अच्छे माउंटेनियर, अच्छे दिलेर के हौसले धरे के धरे तब रह जाते हैं जब अपनी आंखों के सामने किसी को मरता देखता है। और दिमाग में बात, जब जिसको डिसीजन मेकिंग, और जब दिमाग में बातें जब ये आने लगती हैं कि अरे जिस चीज़ के लिए हम जा रहे हैं उसी चीज़ के लिए आदमी मर रहा है, इसी चीज़ के लोग लिए मर चुके हैं। रात में क्लाइंबिंग, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा माउंटेनिंग रात में की जाती है क्योंकि वेदर शांत होता है। जब मैं रात में निकली साउथ कोल से, कैंप 4 से, मेरी हेडलाइट जिधर ही हेडलाइट जा रही थी उधर ही डेड बॉडीज मुझे नज़र आ रही थी। मेरे रोंगटे खड़े हो रहे थे, मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा था कि मैं करूं तो क्या करूं। इतना ही नहीं, मैं जिस रोप में थी उसी रोप में जब मैं आगे जा रही हूँ और एक बांग्लादेशी, उनका हाथ हल्का हल्का ऐसे हिल रहा, मुंह से आवाज आ रही थी। मैं एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर सकती मुझे कितना डर लग रहा था। बार बार ये बार बार मन में आती, इसका ऑक्सीजन खत्म हुआ है, ये मर चुका है लास्ट सिचुएशन में, और हम कुछ नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। 10 से 15 मिनट सिर्फ मैं वहां खड़ी रही। मैंने सिर्फ इतना बोला कि अगर आप सभी में से सभी ने एवरेस्ट सबमिट कर लिया तब तो ठीक है, अगर नहीं सबमिट किया है मैं सबके लिए एवरेस्ट सबमिट करूंगी और जिंदा वापस जाऊंगी। क्योंकि जैसा हम सोचते हैं हमारी बॉडी उसी तरीके से जनरेट करना शुरू करती है। मैंने डेड बॉडी, क्योंकि जा ही नहीं सकते थे किनारे से, उसी रोप में वो एंकर है, डेड बॉडी को लांगी और लांग के जाना शुरू किया। हिलेरी स्टेप साउथ समिट के करीब जब मैं खुद पहुंची, मेरे शेरपा ने एक जोर से झटका मुझे दिया कि अरुणिमा वापस चलो, तुम्हारा ऑक्सीजन खत्म हो रहा है। हिलेरी स्टेप के बाद एवरेस्ट समिट है, थोड़ा चलने के बाद एवरेस्ट समिट है। अगर कोई आपसे ये बोले, आप अपने टारगेट के इतने करीब हो, अगर कोई आपसे ये बोले कि अरुणिमा वापस चलो, कैसा लगता है? मैंने भी यही बोला, सर क्या बोल रहे हो आप, मैं नहीं जाऊंगी वापस। बोला अरुणिमा जिंदगी रही, दोबारा ट्राई करना और एवरेस्ट समिट हो जाएगा दोबारा तुम्हारा। मैंने कहा नहीं, ये आप जिंदगी में गोल्ड चांस बार बार नहीं आते, लाइफ में कभी कभी आता है, ये आपके ऊपर आता, आप उसको पकड़ के रखते हो या फिर छोड़ देते हो। मैं अपना गोल्ड चांस कभी नहीं, क्योंकि मैं जान रही थी मुझे स्पॉन्सर से बहुत मुश्किल से मिला। एक बार अगर मैं छोड़ देती दोबारा मुझे कभी नहीं मिलता। मुझे बछेंद्री मैम ने भी एक बार बात समझाई थी, मेरी माँ ने मुझे एक बार बताया था कि लाइफ में कभी कभी सिचुएशन ऐसी आती है जब सिर्फ आप अकेले होते हो, डिसीजन सिर्फ आपको लेना होता है। जहाँ पे भी होना, खड़े होकर हल्का सा पीछे मुड़कर देखना और ये सोचना कि आप एक एक कदम चल के यहाँ तक पहुँचे हो, सिर्फ अपना एक कदम आगे बढ़ाना। तुम देखना कुछ देर बाद तुम टॉप पे होगी। मेरे दिमाग में उनकी बातें वीडियो की तरह चल रही थी और सिर्फ एवरेस्ट का टॉप चल रहा था। मैंने शेरपा को पहले कन्विंस करने की कोशिश की कि भाई चल, कुछ नहीं होगा भाई चल। फाइनली जब वो नहीं माना, मैंने एक कदम आगे बढ़ाया, डिसीजन लिया कि नहीं जाना ही जाना है। आगे बढ़े, करीब 1 से 1.5 घंटे बाद मैं टॉप पे थी। आप बोल रहे फटाफट अरुणिमा नीचे भागो। जब मैं टॉप पे थी तो कुछ लोग और भी थे, लेकिन 10:55 पे मैंने एवरेस्ट समिट। 11 बजे के बाद अगर कोई अटैम्प्ट करने की कोशिश करता है उसको सुसाइड अटैम्प्ट बोलते हैं। थोड़ा दूर ही मैं नीचे चली थी, मेरा ऑक्सीजन पूरी तरीके से खत्म। सिर्फ अंदाजा लगाया सकता कि जब ऑक्सीजन खत्म हुआ क्या परिस्थिति रही होगी। मैं ऐसे नीचे गिर गई और शेरपा मुझे बोल रहा कि अरुणिमा मुझे यकीन नहीं था कि तू एवरेस्ट समिट कर पाएगी, लेकिन फिर भी तूने किया। मैं चाहता हूँ कि अरुणिमा जिंदा चल, तू वापस उठ, खड़ी हो। मुझे खड़ा करने की वो कोशिश कर रहा था बार बार, मैं खड़ी नहीं हो पा रही थी, वाकई में दम ही नहीं था। लेकिन फिर भी कहते हैं कि जैसे हमारे नियम होते हैं वैसे ऊपर वाले के भी नियम हैं। उसके लिस्ट में जब मेरा नाम नहीं है तो वो मुझे नहीं ले जा सकता। अगर दूसरी चीज, मेरा कॉन्सेप्ट एकदम क्लियर हो चुका था। जब रेलवे ट्रैक पे मैं थी, रेलवे ट्रैक पे 7 घंटे में पड़ी थी, 49 ट्रेन अप डाउन हुई थी, तो मेरा कॉन्सेप्ट एकदम क्लियर हो चुका था। इसका मतलब है कि ऊपर वाले ने अगर मुझे कुछ बचाया है तो कुछ ना कुछ इतिहास रचने के लिए बचाया है। मैंने पॉजिटिव तरीके से सोचा और उसी समय एक ब्रिटिश क्लाइंबर नीचे से ऊपर आ रहा था और उसके पास 2 ऑक्सीजन, तो उसने एक को वहीं फेंका और दूसरे को लेके नीचे जाना शुरू किया क्योंकि वेदर खराब था। मेरा शेरपा मुझे एंकर किया और जाने लगा नीचे और वो फटाफट उसको लेके आए, मुझे लगाया। उसने बोला अरुणिमा तू बहुत लकी है कि तुझे यहाँ पे ऑक्सीजन मिला है, वाकई में ऊपर वाला भी चाहता कि तू जिंदा रहे। फाइनली जो भी था, लक भाग्य किस्मत में नीचे आ रही थी, बहुत खुश थी। माउंटेन, डेड बॉडीज, मेरा शेरपा, ये लोग थे। मैं किसी से शेयर भी नहीं कर पा रही थी कि अरे मैंने एवरेस्ट समिट किया, किसी से शेयर भी नहीं कर पा रहे थे। फटाफट मैंने नीचे हील मार मार के, हमारे से हील मार मार के नीचे आ रहे थे। एकाएक मेरा प्रोस्थेटिक लेग, पूरा का पूरा लेग ही निकल गया। -60 डिग्री तक टेम्परेचर डाउन हो जाता है एवरेस्ट पे। मेरा हाथ वगैरह ये सब ऐसे मूवमेंट, ऐसे मुड़ नहीं रहा था, ब्लड निकलने लगा था, ये सब यहाँ पे। मुझे शेरपा से मैं बोल रही हूँ कि ऑलरेडी मेरा पैर कटा हुआ है, अगर दिमाग में ये बात है कि मेरा हाथ भी काटना पड़ेगा, कैसा लगेगा मेरा दिमाग। क्योंकि ये ऐसा मूवमेंट, रेड 3 स्टेज होती हैं, रेड मेरा हो चुका था, रेड, ब्लैक, ब्लू, ब्लैक हो तो काटना पड़ेगा। तो बार बार मैं बोल रही हूँ शेरपा से कि भाई हाथ मेरा कुछ हो रहा है, इसमें मूवमेंट नहीं हो रहा है, यहाँ सबसे ब्लड हो। बोला अरुणिमा कुछ नहीं, जितना नीचे जाएंगे उतना अच्छा होगा। प्रोस्थेटिक लेग मेरा निकल चुका है, मैं रुकी हूँ, मेरा ऑक्सीजन चल रहा, बड़े मुश्किल से लक भागे किस्मत जो भी था मुझे मिला था। शेरपा मेरे आगे है, लास्ट मोमेंट तक वो मुझे बोलेगा, अगर वो मैं नहीं चलती वो मुझे छोड़ के चला जाए, गलती उसकी भी नहीं होती क्योंकि वो क्या करे क्लाइंबर की वजह से, तो अपनी जान वो भी थी, गलती उसकी भी नहीं है। लास्ट में मेरी आंखों से आंसू निकलने लगा, मैंने सोचा क्या करूं अब, रोने अपने आप आंसू कहीं ना कहीं से आ ही जाता है। दूसरे पल मुझे समझ में आ गया कि रोने धोने से कुछ नहीं होगा, मैंने आंसू को पोंछा और रोप जो मेरी रोप थी, रोप को पकड़ा, दूसरे हाथ से आर्टिफिशियल लेग को, पैर को घसीट घसीट के चलना शुरू हो गया, क्योंकि मेरे पास यही था, ये तो दूसरा था गिव अप कर दो ही चीज थी। पैर को घसीट घसीट चलना शुरू हुआ, कुछ दूर नीचे चलने के आने के बाद रॉक था, उसमें घुसे, पैर को खोला, सही किया, फिर नीचे चलना। कैंप 4 टू समिट टू कैंप 4 3500 फीट है और इसमें टोटल जनरली लोग 16 से 17 घंटे में समिट कर लेते हैं, मुझे टोटल 28 घंटे लगे थे। हर माउंटेनियर, चाहे बाहर का या फिर इंडिया का, हर किसी ने ये मान लिया था कि अरुणिमा जिंदा वापस नहीं आएंगी, हर किसी ने ये चीज़ मान लिया था। लेकिन मुझे लगता, जब मैं वापस साउथ कोल पहुंची, जब मैं टेंट का जिप खोला, मैंने हर किसी ने कहा कि अरे तू यहाँ है, हम तो सब सोच लिए थे तू चली गई, हर किसी ने ये बोला था। फिर सब खुशी मना रहे थे हम सब। देखिए ये सब बताने का मेरा सिर्फ एक मकसद था कि सब कुछ हम में है, हम जैसा चाहे वैसा कर सकते हैं। जब मैंने लोगों के सामने रखा कि मैं माउंटेनिंग करना चाहती हूँ, एवरेस्ट के लिए मुझे ट्राई करना है, हर किसी ने मुझे बोला कि क्या है, पागल हो चुकी हो क्या, तुम्हारा दिमाग खराब हो चुका, तुम कभी नहीं कर सकती माउंटेनिंग, एक पैर आर्टिफिशियल है, दूसरे में रॉड है और तुम्हारा दिमाग खराब है, स्पाइन में भी फ्रैक्चर है, तुम पागल होगे, चुपचाप कोई नौकरी करो, जियो न्यापान करो। क्योंकि लोगों का सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम ये होता, लोग फिजिकल देखते, पैरों को मेरी अंतरात्मा में क्या चल रहा था वो तो किसी को पता ही नहीं था। मुझे लगता कि आज यहाँ पे मैं भी सुबह से देख रही हूँ, इतने अच्छी चीजें मैंने सीखी यहाँ पे, बहुत बड़े बड़े स्पीकर को शायद आप लोगों ने भी सुना, आज मैं भी आपको यहाँ पे कि चाहे जितना मोटिवेट करूं, चाहे जितना चीजें मैं बताऊं, लेकिन आप खुद जिस दिन किसी भी लक्ष्य के प्रति आपकी अंतरात्मा जाग गई, आपको कोई नहीं रोक सकता उस लक्ष्य को पाने में।
All right. Hope found it motivating. Point here was basically the indomitable spirit that we have. If we truly decide to exercise it, anything is possible. And sometimes with small little obstacles and problems in our life, we hype it up so much in our mind that it cripples us for the rest of our life. Right? And God has given us ability. See how much unprecedented help she kept on getting, even when she was on the railway track, even when her oxygen, it was almost like a suicide attempt that she did, right? Some British guy came and rescued her at that height. These are some of the miracles that can happen when you have that indomitable spirit and a firm belief that what you want to do, you want to do, right? Shri Aurobindo said you have to be greater than the difficulty. There is no other option. There's no other choice. So the point here being, we see problems do come in our life. I mean, this was just an example of the indomitable spirit on how somebody, just because they wanted to do something, right, and they could exercise that. But even in our life, we generally make a lot of mountains out of the molehills, typically, that can be seen in perspective, and we do have the ability to actually come out of any situation with flying colors, as long as we are able to channelize the pain for a gain and not for a complaint. So that was the key thing. Anything, any thoughts, any questions in your mind before we get into a bit of a discussion? We have a little bit of time, so let's have a bit of a discussion. Anything that we have spoken about so far you wanted to talk about before we get into the discussion?
Radhe Radhe Shyamji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Well, one thing, it's all the mind game, all the mind game. If I think I can, I can. If I think I can't, I can't. That's all the message says there, isn't it?
True, very true. Also, the fact that one problem in life, right, or maybe a series of problems, if they can break us down, bring us down, that is not how God has actually basically made us. In order to draw God's grace, we have to exercise our resilience. We have to look at it in perspective. We need to tap into our higher nature, as opposed to tapping into our lower nature, complaining, becoming depressed, getting frustrated with life, getting bitter in our life. That is not how God expects us as well. That is also very important. seeing things in proper perspective and in a positive light for our betterment and upliftment. Yes, few of the hands are raised as well.
Radhe Radhe Surinder Prabhu.
Radhe Radhe Surendra ji.
Okay, Radhe Radhe, thank you. Continuing from yesterday's session and this today's so far, I wish to inquire or get better knowledge from you. Karma, akarma, जो भी कुछ हम करते हैं, there is no doership. When we say it is all because of the Lord wish or whatever it's done, then why are we to be blamed for any quality of the karma?
So, Sage Vashisht had advised Lord Ram, the Karam Yoga concept that we talk about. Karta Bahir Akarta Antar. So, what it means is, externally you do things as if everything depends on you. Internally, you acknowledge that it is only because of God's energy and His grace you are able to do that. Now, that doesn't mean you leave everything to God. You still have to put in your best. God has given us a free will. So that free will has to be utilized judiciously and in a nice manner.
Voice gone.
I just muted. Our little one is coming in. Yeah. So the point here is that we cannot absolve ourselves of our efforts. We still have to put in our best as if everything depends on us. God says you put in your best. God helps those who help themselves. But internally, you understand that it is only because of God's grace that I am able to do it. So that two contradictory things, two paradoxical things, we have to take hand in hand. And that is essentially what Karma Yoga is. So it's not like God is doing. If God were doing everything, then everything would be perfect. Right? And Bhagavad Gita will not be needed. Krishna would have said to Arjun, hey, one day I will do everything perfect for you and you just relax. He's not saying that. He's giving him all the gyan because there's a free will aspect of it as well, where he gives us the energy, but we still have to choose the choices that we make. And that dictates our karmas. Otherwise, why should we even have the law of karma? It's like Galti Kare Ramesh and Bhukte Dinesh. It should not be the case, right? If God is doing everything, then why are we subject to the law of karma? So it's our free will because of which the energy that is provided by God is not utilized in accordance with the scriptures or in accordance with what we should be doing, in order to get closer to our goal of God realization. That is why law of karma takes over. We do binding karma and law of karma dictates basically our life. Hope that answers the question.
Ultimately, the prarabdha has to be honored. Basically, the prarabdha is through the God, it is our prarabdha.
So prarabdha, see, prarabdha is because of our past kriyaman.
Yeah.
That means our current kriyaman will become our future prarabdha. And that kriyaman is dictated with our free will. So there is a free will component of it, which becomes our future prarabdha. And past kriyaman has become our current prarabdha. So,
you mean the free will is not guided by the God?
No, of course not. Then how can it be free will? Right? If it is free will cannot be guided by God. Otherwise, he would have. See, it's like this. If you were to program your kids, make them robots and say, you program them in such a way that they are always obedient, they always love you. When you will that give you satisfaction? All right. So only when there is a choice, you can love. Otherwise, it's prescripted. And that is where God has given us a choice. And that choice can only be exercised through the free will. So we have a free will. It's not dictated by God. If free will was dictated by God, then the world will be perfect, right? Nobody would do any bad thing at all. They would exercise their free will perfectly. That doesn't happen.
That means there is no relation between the prarabdha and free will.
Prarabdha and free will? No, of course not. It has a relationship to an extent that your prarabdha, right, the gunas aspect of it will influence your free will. But with your free will, you can even transcend that. For example, because of your prarabdha, you may have a lot of tamasic guna. Right? Your mind is telling you to steal or do crime. But with knowledge, you can actually tell, you can conquer that nature or your natural setting or the default setting that is born out of your prarabdha and your gunas. You can actually transcend that ability God has given us. But that can happen only when you have armed your intellect with correct knowledge. Otherwise, we are in autopilot mode. Whatever our gunas or mind is telling us, we are doing it without challenging it. Intellect is asleep, soul is anyway asleep, right? So that is what happens. So prarabdha is there, but free will is there. Free will is a very key thing. Without free will, there is no purpose of creation. It's all orchestrated then. That is not the concept. Otherwise, everything God is doing, what's the need for scriptures? What is the need for Bhagavad Gita in that case? There's absolutely no need if God is doing everything. God is giving us energy, but we have the choice how we want to utilize that energy. Electricity is given, whether you use it to kill somebody or whether you use it to run a fan or whether you use it for something good, that is your choice. That is the free will part of it.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Yes, a few other hands are raised as well.
I think Urviji had a comment. Probably Shyamji can read that if he wants.
Yes,
Yeah.
Shyam.
Thank you, Rahul bhai. Thank you. She says, Radhe Radhe, we should embrace the pain that uplifts us. Difficulties will come and go. We have to take them gladly. When we start embracing pain, life gets better. The more austerities we perform to attain something, be it God, the more grace comes in. Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful point, Urvi. That's true. Sacrifice purifies. And the more we are able to exert and endure ourselves, the more grace we get from God. Look at the example we saw for Arunima, right? If she was so much faith she had that, if she could survive 7 hours on a track, God wants her to live. She had that faith and it actually happened. It was miraculous. Even her Sherpa, a lot of people abandoned her on the way. She didn't complain about it. She just went on. It just happened. She had firm faith that it will going to happen. And with every small difficulty, we find excuses in our life why not to proceed. And her story is a classic example of no difficulty was big enough for her. And just think of it, if this incident had not happened in her life, do you think her inner resilience or the ability or the spirit that came out would have come to the fore, or she would have been able to exercise that in her regular life as a volleyball player? Possibly. But the odds of that happening were very less. So it's only because of that pain, only because of that, this part of her came to the fore, right? She was able to tap into her deepest reservoir, which would define her in the rest of her lives as well. That is the beauty of being able to endure through problems and pain. And a lot of people will simply break and make that as an excuse for their life and be bitter for the rest of their life. God cut me a raw deal in life. I was a good player. My leg got amputated. This happened, that happened, and then done deal. She didn't do that. Helen Keller, she didn't do that. She was born blind. Right? Sindhutai Sapkal, if you look at his story, she didn't do that. She made such a good life of hers, right? Very worthy life, productive life, help people around. So there are enough examples where people, they have, if they, in worldly eyes, they have been cut a very raw deal, but they did not complain. They made something out of their lives. And that is where we have to look at problems in perspective. The fact that we wake up every day, the fact that we have an able body, eyes, ability to earn, and so many other graces that we forget that and start focusing only on the problem at hand and make it such a big deal in our head that it becomes, it cripples us, basically our thought process, as well as the way we look at the journal outlook about life as well. And that is something we need to be cautious about. Is essentially the message discussion point today. Yes, quite a few hands. Shyamji, you can.
Radhe
12 minutes. Please post the feedback tracker in the meantime as well. I would quickly remind about the family camp that's coming up. So do sign up for that. We have a wonderful yoga fest coming up. Do check it out and register for it if you have not already. And we do have volunteer seva going on. If you've not joined the group, please do so. You can help us out in that as well. Family camp. If you're sitting on the fence, this is the time for you to register and sign up for it. Yes.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, Nitinji, Radhe Radhe. Good evening, everyone. So first of all, thank you, Nitinji, for sharing such an Such an awesome video. It was such inspiring, such a brave story, and such a story which shows a tremendous power of mind. I got really goosebumps hearing her story. How brave she is. I have like salute from my heart to her. And my key takeaway is definitely she had option to take the extreme end where she would have been like, as you said just now, she would have been depressed or complained or she had been crying all her life, but she took the other extreme, and that was her power. And then God helped her. So God helped them who helped themselves, and that's what it happens. So that is my key takeaway, that we should always choose the better extreme. Like, when there are difficulties, better choose to fight against it than to cry for it.
Beautiful point. Very true. And in fact, we have laddu in both of our hands. Either we will improve. If we have success, anyway, we relish it. And if we don't have it, it's an opportunity to actually dig deep and bring out our best.
Yes.
In both cases, we have nothing to lose, actually. If you really think about it.
Yes.
The game has been designed in such a way that everything is to be gained, nothing to be lost, if you really think about it.
Very true. Very true.
Everything, yeah, that's true.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Radhe Radhe. All right. Yes, Shamji, you may want to call up some name.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Rupaji, you have been invited.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe everyone. The video was very inspiring and really it's next to impossible to imagine such situations. So I really got really just how like Pallavi ji said, I got the goosebumps by hearing that. And I just wanted you to please share me the video so that if we share it, sometimes if someone need and get inspired with the video, that would be helpful for anyone and everyone.
I will share it with you.
Yeah.
Sharing is caring, so I'll definitely share it with you. But yeah, you can give you goosebumps for sure. And
really
put things in perspective, the little things that we cry over, right? It will dwarf some of the problems that we cook up in our mind. It will
what problems we are facing is like a drop of ocean in front of her problem, really. Definitely.
And Sindhu, I'll share that story too. I did it in one of the sessions. Even more, we talk about our domestic problems, this problem, that problem. If you hear her life story, you will be like, amazing. How she could transform her life and have that resilience, that kicked in. She just, left the world, but she's an amazing lady. She came in our yoga festival last year, by the way. Just an amazing story. And she was actually kicked out of her home by her husband. She had to cut her umbilical cord to give birth to a baby. And the same husband, she adopted him when he was about 60 or 65. He came as her oldest orphan. That much of forgiveness also she had. And she actually took care of 70, 80 orphans, and a lot of them actually went on to become lawyers, doctors, and some high posts in life as well. She has an amazing story as well. A lot of such examples.
Please do share the video.
I will.
You have that.
Both of them I will share with everyone.
Yeah, both. And see, like we have a line of problems. Everyone has their own set of problems. But when we hear such stories, when that line is much, much, much longer than us, then we will know our line is very small.
True. We have to look at it in perspective for sure.
Yes.
There was a thing, right? This guy said to God, and he said, God, I have a lot of problems. Can you fix those for me? Can you take care of all my problems? God said, all right, let's do one thing. 4 a.m. in the morning, why don't you put all your problems in your bag, okay, and come and meet me. So he said, all right, that's good. So when he starts walking towards the temple, 4 a.m. in the morning, he sees his neighbor is also coming, and it's another person is also. So there is a crowd of people who are walking with their bags, and all of them reach the temple. And then God says, all right, do one thing. You just put your bags, right? And then look at take a good look at each other's bags, and put your bags, tight on the wall. take a good look at each other's bags, and then once I'm going to put the light back on, you can pick the bag that you want. So everybody, after the light was put on, they were standing next to their bag only. They said, all right, at least I know the set of problems I have. What if the other person has COVID or H1N1 or Ebola, right? Or some other deadly going on in their life. I'm good with my set of problems only. So sometimes we lose the big picture around what life can actually and how life can unfold. So it's an opportunity, and we should leave it at that and approach it in a positive frame of mind. It's a huge opportunity.
Because we are humans, no, Nitinji. Like,
Very
see, we see our problem is the biggest of all, definitely, and we have many people around us who also share their problems. But sometimes we feel his pain is more than me. But again, when our problems come, it repeats. So that is how the life is, and the human nature is actually.
Very true. But we
Really.
just need to get better with proper knowledge in our heads. Great. Let's hear from us.
Thank you.
We have 6 minutes, so 2 minutes each for 3 participants. Thank you, Rupaji.
Radhe Radhe, Nanik ji, please go ahead.
Nanikji.
Yes, from the story of Anupam Sinha, we understand that difficulty comes in life and also the inspiration. But at the same time, she has a result in mind. What Swamiji said, one should not have result in mind. She has result in mind to go to Mount Everest. But that probably is not really said there. What other things we understand from it, that lot of things that she did, inspiration with the difficulties she went there. But she has a result in the mind which should not be.
No, Swamiji says setting a goal is not a bad thing. Getting attached to it is. Now, her spirit is saying, I have to reach that goal. So she's trying her best. That's what it is. So there is definitely a line there. Result, having a goal in mind. Swamiji's never said that don't set goals. Set goal. Put in your best. Put in your 200%. And then after that, if it is not, have santushti. Right? That okay. Then make peace with it. Have prasad buddhi around it. So she's just putting her 200%. That is how I saw this whole thing. Whether she's attached to result or not are subtle things only she would know. But yeah, the key thing here to be learned is that we should not shy away from the smaller obstacles that come our way, but we should exert, endure, and strive for it. And that is something that God likes as well. Great. Yes, Ajit ji and Anusha ji, real quick.
Radhe Radhe, Ajit ji.
Radhe Radhe. Actually, in the whole episode, she has not never mentioned about the God, that she prayed God or she was having faith with the God. 7 hours she lied on the track, but she never uttered a single word about the God. So what do you say about it?
I think she said in her thing that God wanted her to live. When somebody told her that your oxygen cylinder is going to run out, you have to go back. Sherpa told her that. She said, okay, at that moment I thought if God wanted her to die, she would have died on the track. She at that moment, her faith triggered in that, God wants her to live. She actually said that about that. If you relook at the video, I'm going to share that. She mentions that. She's talking about that.
I agree. She mentioned, but that was her self-confidence, to my opinion. She was not dependent upon the God. Actually, my opinion is that to lighten our pain, and sorrow, we bring the God concept, and that will make our life easy. Otherwise, if you take everything on your shoulder, it will be like Arvindija Sinha's case, that she took everything, all pain on her shoulder. She was not dependent on anybody else. That's what my opinion. Radhe Radhe.
Yeah. So whatever learning we can take out of it, that is helpful for our journey, we should pick that up. That is perfectly okay. Whether she had faith on God or not becomes a moot point at that point. This was more around looking at problems as not getting intimidated by problems, but having a mindset that we can conquer things. We can get out of everything, every situation. That was the key message. Whether she believed in God or not is a moot point. It was not a spiritual video in any case anyways, but she did refer to God at some point. It makes things easy for sure. But yeah, her indomitable spirit also. God is not saying only if you talk about me, I'm going to help you. God helps those who help themselves as well, right? So her faith and her own spirit carried her through, which was pretty amazing as well. Yes, one more hand I saw we can really take, and then 1 minute remaining, and then I'll have to hand it over to Ajay and Sunil Bhai for the next session as well.
Radhe Radhe Padma ji.
Radhe Radhe. One thing, just to put things in perspective, there are a lot of things that beautiful gems that God gives us. And one of the beautiful things that He gives us is the willpower. And He constantly reminds us to use that willpower. So internally, whether she's spiritual or not spiritual, whether she has exerted that from that point of angle that we want to understand in our own minds, that is something that we cannot understand somebody else's standpoint or mind. But she executed the willpower that you believe, I believe, we all believe. Spiritually, the willpower that God has given us, she has executed. I didn't see the video, but I'm just making assumptions from the video that whatever that video was, the willpower is what God is giving. He has given us free in, through His grace. So she, or looks like she is the lady, or whatever that video is, she executed that willpower. And for God, that is faith, that bhakti, that faith in willpower and executing that willpower when you connect with yourself and getting that courage or conviction is a beautiful thing, and He loves it.
True. She did exercise, she did follow the principles that would please God for sure. She did not give up. She exercised that resilience that God expects of all the human beings. He doesn't expect us to crumble with every little difficulty that comes our way. He expects us to exert and go take ourselves to the next level. So whether she believes in God or not, she certainly aligned to some of the stuff that would have pleased God for sure. Great point, Padmaji. I know we are at the top of the hour. We can skip our closing prayers. So I'll hand it over to Sunil Bhai. I can see him for the next session. So Radhe Radhe, Monday session is not there. I will see you on Tuesday, which is Wednesday morning, because we have the East Coast retreat that you can join online. And just wanted to remind you, I'll anyway send out a reminder, because now we're going to see you not on Monday, but on Tuesday, which is Wednesday morning India time. Radhe Radhe, have a wonderful weekend, the greatest of your day.
Nitin ji, you will have to make Sunil ji as the host before you leave. Yeah.
All right. I'll have to make him host.
Yes, because you are the host, and I can stop the recording and start it.
Sure. I just did. Over to you, Sunil Bhai.